Oh my. Oh, hey. You know what? Sorry for that little bit of delay. We are doing something a little different here this evening. We got a lot of things going on right now. So let's start off with, hey, what's happening? What's happening? Welcome to Black Conservative Radio here on iHeart Intellectual Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. If it sounds like that, I'm a little pumped up. That is yes, I am. I am not gonna say little, but I am super duper pumped. Um, for those that know me, I have become a grandfather for my man was laughing. My engineer was laughing. He said, "What? Huh?" Yes, I have become a grandfather for the 15th time. Yes, I have 15 grandchildren. For those that are like, oh my gosh, how many kids you have? Look. It's not what you think that I'm spreading my seed all over the city of Chicago. No, it's not like that. It's just that my children, my blood children, all have they have large. They've created their own family and they have a lot of children. So with that being said, I want to say congratulations to my baby girl. Um, Congratulations, sweetie. I'm happy. Congrats to my daughter, Shelby Campbell Johnson. She gave birth today to a lovely girl. Her name is Nova Gianni. I hope I'm saying it right. 6 pounds, 9 ounces, and she came in at 12:08 this afternoon. 12:08. So I am super happy, super happy, super happy. And when it's a different. It's when you have children that as a parent speaking, when you have children, it's different when when you're dealing with your own children and then dealing with the grandchildren. See, the hook on that part about the grandchildren is that when the time is up, you can give them back. These are the ones that you can give back. Yeah, that's I'm just keeping it real. But it's a different it's a different feeling, it's a different type of aura, sort of inside feeling when you have when you're dealing with your grandchildren. And not only that, but my daughter, she also has, along with the newborn now, she also has she also has twins. There's twins, Lucas and Liberty. So they're like a pair of gloves, right hand and left hand. They're just that tight. But but yes, this is exciting, and I have the most grandchildren out of my clan. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm super geek, and this is and I'm it's one of those things where I'm at a loss of words, and that's a rarity for me. That's a rarity. But I'm really happy, and at some point I will be getting out there to see them, very hopefully very very soon. But once again, congratulations to the Johnson family on the newborn Nova Gianni Johnson. Congrats. Now, to jump to now, I want to get into a portion. I want to get into into this show. There's a couple of things I want to bring to bring to light. Though, excuse me. There's a report, not a report, but there's a news story right now, and it's out of Indiana, actually out of Hammond, Indiana. Right now, law enforcement, and this is really really tough, and to a certain degree, you have to ask yourself who was minding the goddamn store on this one. We have a young boy, 12 years old. I'm sure, and I'm sure that you all it's probably been you've seen the news. There's a 12-year-old boy. He's special needs, and he's not only special needs, but let me correct myself. He is autistic. Okay. Also, he is non-verbal. Okay. Um, and he wandered. Apparently, he wandered away from a hotel that he and his mother were staying at. Now, it's irrelevant on why they're at the hotel. Okay, with everything that's going on, people being homeless and COVID, that's not the most important. But the most distressing part is that the hotel sits not too far from a river, which is in back of the hotel. So last reports, they've had marine boats out there going up and down the lake. I just hope and pray that this and that nothing has happened to him. He's been missing for upwards to 36 hours. And understand something: when someone goes missing, the first 48 are the only 48, because everything is still fresh in people's minds. Fresh in people's minds. The second part is that if you and this is not crucifying this woman. She very well may have been. She could be overwhelmed with trying to care for a special needs child. Excuse me. And I can understand that. I say that because I know people who have had to deal with special needs individuals, and even in my own family, I've had to care for a special needs individual. Okay, and the real tough part is that when these individuals that are artistic or they have autism, and they're non-verbal, it makes it difficult for them, short of the obvious, to communicate, but to express other than through sign language or some type of outcry if they can. And I just really hope that nothing has happened to this 12-year-old boy. But at the same time, if you know that this is a delicate situation, mother, whoever she is, it's kind of hard to say, what were you doing? Okay. And that's not crucifying her or being judgmental. It's that is going to be a question that is going to be asked of her. If you know that this child is of special needs, and it's difficult. I mean, even myself, and I've seen people that have special needs children, special ed children, and yes, and they are and it can be overwhelming, especially, and then not to mention if you're a parent and you have 2 or 3 children that are special needs. It's got to be it's got to be it's it, it it's overwhelming. It can't That's the only word I can think of. It's overwhelming. Overwhelming. That is the thing. We could sit here all day and go back and forth. Well, and some people will say, well, you know what, if you know this, you shouldn't have kids. First and foremost, none of us, and for those naysayers and those people that are forming their lips to say something that asinine, listen, you have to be very careful. Excuse me. You have to be very careful with what flies out your mouth, because when you say certain things, you're speaking them against yourself. That's number one. Number two, it is these things are very difficult. None of us have a heaven or hell to put anyone in to sit or to sit in judgment of someone when certain things happen or mistakes occur or actions are done. None of us have a heaven or hell. When you sit in judgment of someone, remember now, you yourself will be judged by the same measure. Or as they say, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. But I wanted to bring that to the forefront, and please, if you're within an earshot of this, of the tri-state area and Northwest Illinois and Northwest Indiana and Southeast Illinois, keep this family in your prayers, especially for this young teenage boy. And like I say, the most distressing part is that he's nonverbal. So he couldn't even tell anyone if they found him. He couldn't even tell anyone who he is, where he's from, or how to get back to where he is. And that's that's just really tough. I can't imagine. I truly can't. And I just can't. But to shift gears, excuse me, a little frog in my throat here. But to shift gears slightly, this goes into what I'm going to talk about, like I said, in my previous show 2 weeks ago, about help, or the help, or how we administer it. I'm gonna read something right quick. I saw something. It's called it's through my daily quotes, and it had a very good, and it was very poignant, and it goes on to say this. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. As I correct myself, it says it's inspiring quotes. Inspiring quotes. And there's a passage. There's a quote, and obviously this is the quote. The point is not to pay back kindness, but to pass it on. Pass it on. And this is taken from the person who said this. Her name is Julia Alvarez. The celebrated Dominican American writer Julia Alvarez has an uncanny ability to cut to the center of the human experience. Her poetry and prose often focus on her identity as a Dominican woman growing up in the United States. This quote, however, comes from Alvarez's essay, The Aha Moment, in which she describes a terrifying plane ride in the many moments of the many moments of kindness she saw in that one space. Reflecting on the experiences, she found that kindness inspires more kindness, and we should pay it forward whenever we can. Now, I said that to make a point. We sometimes I won't say sometimes, skip that, scratch that. We as Black people, and before I get too far, I'm just let you all know that the phone lines are open. As I said, we're just doing something a little different tonight. The phone lines are open, so if you have a comment on what I'm saying, please give me a call here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. The topic of the show is called The Help. Going to that point, yes, we can sit around. We as Black people, we have a tendency, or some of us anyway. Let me be clear. Level of clarification. We have a tendency to condemn one another. We have a tendency to crucify. I was told, and this is a true story. I was told, it was said to me. Let me rephrase that. It was someone said to me that because I'm always talking about philosophy and speaking philosophy and quoting certain philosophical quotes. Okay, now if we all have Google, we have we got Google search engine, Chrome, all of this technology to look up certain things. So there's really no excuse for us to continue to operate in an arena of ignorance. So to say that, if you look up the word philosophy means the love of wisdom. Philosophy means the love of wisdom. Okay. Now we also have to understand, who gives us the wisdom, and first of all, where does it come from and who gives it to us? That's the most important thing. An operative word in there, the key, love of wisdom. I don't sit here. I've been doing this show 5 years now. It's been 5 years if I'm doing my math right. And 95% of everything that I say is of intellectual value. It's a philosophy. Understand something. It is not philosophy is not my opinion. Philosophy also means the study, the study of of character, elements, and the way the world actually works. We have to fully understand that. And sometimes we spend entirely too much time in operating in an arena of foolishness, silliness, and bullshit, and then we try to pass it off as rhyme and reason and rationale. This is what we sometimes tend to do. But if we stop for a moment and we start to look at things, for the reality of it. We use the reason and rationale. We start using the philosophy. We start exercising wisdom. Wisdom. My grandmother, rest her soul, when I was a boy, I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house. A lot of time. I would rather be at my grandmother's house than be at my own house. I mean, not that it wasn't cool, not that I didn't want to be at home or anything or what something was going on. It was just for me, it was just the coolest place to be because I would love to sit there and we would talk. But I would the most important the biggest thing, the most important thing to me was not only listening to her talk, but listening to the years of wisdom that she would talk about, that she would spit out. The years of wisdom on how to deal with people, how to navigate through life, how to understand when something doesn't go your way. That is part of the matrix. That is part of life. That is going to happen. It is what you do with it. It's how you respond or react when things go left. We can't and just listen. And she was the one. She was never one to um sort of pat someone on the back when it didn't go right. She would just tell them it. You have to decide on what you're going to do or what your next move is. And as a boy, trying to really grasp that and say, okay, it's like a math problem. You get stuck. What happens? You have to backtrack and see where you went wrong, where the mistake was made. You have to backtrack. And that's something that I learned how to do when she was talking. And even when she would tell different stories or little anecdotes, and I was so engrossed in what she would say, and even to a point to where she even mentioned to me when she said this. And as a boy, as children, we have no idea what our grandparents are saying things to us, and we don't realize that until we become adults or we have our families of our own. And when she said this to me, and it were things that I would know how to do, or I would know how to answer or solve. And she would say to me, you have a gift. You have a gift. You see things before it happens. You see things for what it is. You see people for who they are, and your response is of as you said, an old soul or that of wisdom. I had no idea what that meant. But as I gotten older, I do understand that. When you see me with all this gray in my face, trust me, that's not from worrying. No. As they say, that is wisdom. That is the wisdom that pours out of a person. That is the wisdom. And you have to, but at the same time, when you have wisdom, you should be able to decipher certain things. You should be able to understand certain certain avenues. And also, when you have wisdom, wisdom is not judgmental. It never had. Wisdom and judgment do not go hand in hand. They're as different as night and day, like oil and water. Wisdom wisdom explains things on the way it gives an explanation. It gives a different idea or an ideology. And what we tend to do is that what we don't do is that we don't practice this. We don't understand. And what happens is that when we don't understand it, then we make decisions, or we're left to our own devices, and we make decisions, and then we wind up regretting them. Or we think, oh, you know what? That just wasn't right. That just didn't happen, or whatever the case may be. But it is, but it is what it is, and so on and so forth. But going back to the quote, when she said, when Julia Alvarez said what she said, she was referencing wisdom. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. Because when you pay it forward, what you're going to get back is going to be more than what you gave out. We have to fully understand. And if we did a lot more of that, to where this is what we do, but at the same time, and now don't get me wrong, at the same time, we have to be guarded also on who we share these things with. We have to be guarded on, we have to be particular on who we share our wisdom and knowledge and understanding with, because there are some people who don't get it. There are some people who refuse to listen or believe it or accept it. So we have to be careful. It's the same way as if you're going down the highway, coming off the expressway, or coming off the expressway, and you'll see, or you coming through a shopping center or some traffic corner, and you'll see some individual standing there with a cup, looking, begging for money, or whatever the case may be. Now, there was a guy. He was on the side of the road, and he stepped out and he started walking through traffic. But at the same time, as I looked beyond him, I saw a van, and I saw a woman and probably maybe 5 or 6 children in the van. So I kind of put the two together. Okay, that must be his family. Okay, and thinking, I could easily been judgmental and say, you know what, he's a man. He should be able to figure something out. He should be able to pick up cans, get a newspaper route, or something. That's being judgmental, because we don't know. We have no idea on how this man and his family got to where they are. We have we don't know his pain. We have no idea what his pain is or what his situation is. How do we know that this man is not feeling less of a man because he has to suck it up and be out there begging? Instead of being judgmental, then what we try to do. So anyway, as I saw this man, and I was, and to a point, I was moved, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and we have to realize this too, people, that all of us, I don't care what you do, what job you have, I don't care what type of money you bringing in, if any, we are all one paycheck away, especially now. We are all one paycheck away from being where that man and his family is, and that's homeless. We are all one paycheck away. But it's only by the grace of God that most of us are not there. So anyway, as I motioned him over, and I'm like, okay, you know what, he came over, and, he began to give me his story. I said, no, I don't need to know your story. I really don't. But here, this is what I'm going to do. So I put $20 in his bucket. Okay. And people say, oh my goodness, $20. You don't even know this guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He needs this more. He needed this more than I do. Because guess what? Lord willing, I'm gonna get up the next day and go to work and make some more that look just like what I gave him. So I gave him the $20, but I stopped. But as he walked away, I said, wait, and I told him, I looked him dead in his eye, man to man, and I told him, do right by that money. And he kind of straightened up a little bit, and he was like, and I'm sure that he understood what I meant. I'm sure, because I said, do right by that money. And the meaning of that is do all that you can. Don't be an asshole and take it and blow it on something ridiculous. You got a family over there. This is the part of me paying it forward, because it's at the end of the day, I can't take it with me. At the end of I mean, really, give it to someone who needs it. Someone who needs it. We have to start looking, when we're talking about, as Black people, we have to start looking at the blessings, all the goodness that we have, everything first of all, we have to look at everything that we have and everything that we don't have. One of the things that my grandmother told me, and I told my children the same thing. I told them the same thing. Before I get to that part, the first half of this show was brought to you by Captain Hook's Fish, Shrimp, and Chicken. If you're hungry right now, get your booty down to 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie and Markham for some great food, great fish, chicken, and shrimp, and sides. Now, she told me this story one day, and she said it. She was telling my uncle was complaining about something, as he always did, and so she told the story, and she got on him, and she said, you complain a lot, complain. She said that and she went on to tell him the story, and she said that as the story goes, and I don't know if some of you may have heard this and some of you may not, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. And the story goes, I complained because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. So this is one of the things that we continue to do as Black people. We complain about what we don't have when there's somebody who is in a worse condition than we are. And the other part is that when we complain, like we do as Black people, we complain about every goddamn thing, about this, about that, about the socioeconomics, about our neighborhoods, about police, about this, about that. Here's the thing: how many of you mofos are out there trying to change that, make a difference? How many of you all are trying to speak things into existence? Because now, remember, we have to be careful too. We have to be careful what flies out our mouth, as Scripture says. Guard your tongue as you would your life. Guard your tongue as you would your life. When I started, and I can speak, I can speak from my own experiences. I can, and especially, and truly, and I say that because it's true. I'm not, it's not a matter of testimony or testifying, but these are true experiences. These are true things. And people you would never believe. People would never believe. Yeah, I was homeless at one time. I was homeless. Yes. You never would believe that. But see, I can sympathize with that man standing there with his family and things of that nature. I can understand it. I lived out of my car for 7 months. I lived out of my car for 7 months. That part, if you don't know or understand, be homeless, or be homeless and your stomach in your back. So that's one of the things to where when I got to certain levels in my life, I entreated people with kindness, with whatever I could give them, whatever I could spare, whatever I could do. This is what you do, because I was there when I started acting. I started acting in 2005, and I had no, I was green. I was green as a blade of grass. But I got into it. I began to navigate through it. I began to understand it. I began to ask questions. I began to use the knowledge that I had of it and just work my way through it. And to a point to where even when I would say, you know what, I want to be in a position to where I don't have to submit for jobs. They call me and say, hey, Alan, we have a job for you. Hey, Alan, we have a job for you. Hey, Alan, are you available? See, speaking those things into existence brought them forth. Not only that, but I even said, you know what, if I get, if I work hard enough, become and get to a point to where I can become a SAG member. So lo and behold, one day I go to the mailbox, and what should be in the mailbox? A welcoming letter from the Screen Actors Guild to say, welcome to our organization or the union. These are the things. Now, make no mistake. None of us are perfect. I'm no angel. Make no mistake. But I'm not the devil either. We all have things that we're not proud of. We've all done things that we wish we had not done or regret. But at the same time, if we are working towards another channel, working that way, and we have to learn how to do that as Black people, not so much as together, but individually. We have to work that. We have to work within ourselves. There was and I know, and in the Matrix, in the very first one in the Matrix, when the character Neo comes through the kitchen door, and just above his head, there was a plaque. It was written in Latin, and as he walked through the door, the Oracle was sitting there, and as he walked in, and he turned around and he looked up and he got ready to speak it, and he spoke. He was looking at it, and he said, "What does that mean?" And in Latin, if you go back and you watch it, it's just two words: know thyself. That's how you get to the part of understanding, of paying it forward, of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. First of all, know thyself, and then you're able to understand other things and other people. You're able to do that. The first thing is know thyself. Know thyself. Because then that will help you open up a little bit more so you can help other people. So you can be in a position to properly raise and govern your children. So you can be in a proper position to be in a relationship and work and navigate through that. Also, just a sidebar too, we also have to understand something. When it comes to relationship, some things we have to backtrack. We have to backtrack on, because sometimes we spend too much time looking for someone instead of allowing them to find us. This cracks me up. People say, and I laugh at it. It's funny to me. It's funny. People say all the time, "Oh my goodness, I need to get right with God." Okay, that's not number one. Or you know what? I found God, and those are most of the time those are people who are in jail. Look, let me break it down to you in a more simplified way. You didn't find God because guess what? God wasn't lost. You were. Here's the other part. I need to get right with God. Help me understand something. How do you get right with God? How do you do that? Because see, understand something. God is always right. He's going to be right. He's always been right from day one. So to say I need to get right with God is an oxymoron statement. Here's the thing. Know thyself. Get right with yourself first. Get right with yourself. Whatever happened in your life, whatever happened, it happened. It's like my man said the other day. He said you're in your car, and you ever think about this? Think about this for a minute. You're in your car, and your windshield. You look at your windshield. Your windshield is really big and wide, but then right in the middle of your windshield is what? The rear view mirror, and the rear view mirror is very small. Here's the thing. You know why the rear view mirror is small? Because everything is behind you. What you need to focus on is what's in front of you, which gives you the big panoramic view. You can see everything. We can't continue to go through life with what I call tunnel vision. We have to keep our heads on a swivel. That's the purpose of a large windshield. You glance up, and you glance up in your rearview mirror every now and then, because what? That's behind you. It's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. It is what it is. It happened. Nothing. But if you're focusing forward, using a little bit of wisdom and knowledge and focus on everything that is going on instead of one thing. We can't sometimes and even this is troublesome. Take a ship, for example. And a ship, and most people say, if you ask the question, what is the most important thing that a ship the most important thing that a ship needs, for lack of a better word, I should say need. What is the most important thing concerning a ship, or what is it? So some people will say, well, they'll say a crew. The crew, yeah, okay, well, the ship is only as good as its crew, but that's not the only thing. Oh, you need a rudder, you need an engine, you need this, you need okay, those are all fine, but once again, you have to elevate yourself. You have to elevate your thinking to the bigger part. What is the one thing that a ship absolutely needs? An anchor. A ship needs an anchor. And I say that because what happens is that there are some people, when they talk about, and this is the part of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and what we tend to do is what we don't do is that sometimes we want to run to religion, or we want to cleave to religion or spirituality, and a lot of us are not even grounded spiritually. The main thing that for the purpose of the anchor is to ground the ship. So it's for it to latch on to whatever it needs to latch on, so the ship does not move in the softest of waters, and even in the most turbulent. And some of you, first thing you do is grab your Bible, and you think that's gonna save you. No, if you're not properly anchored, what purpose does that Bible do you? What does it do? You have to be spiritually grounded. That's here and here. You got to be spiritually, you have to be grounded. Grounded. That is the most important thing. And when you grasp all of these things, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you're able to put things in its proper place. You're able to understand that when I get up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to complain, which is what we tend to do. We're not going to complain. Oh, I got to go to this damn job and deal with these people and all of this kind of carrying on. Okay, well, what about the person who can't get up and go to the job because you know what happened? He didn't wake up. What about that person who can't go to the job because they got laid off? What about that person? But you complain about going to your job. Oh my goodness, this car just giving me more trouble. Once again, you're speaking and this is what we tend to do as Black people. We speak so much negativity, or we let so much negativity fly out our mouths. Understand something. When you do that, you are speaking these things against yourself. Against yourself. How in the world can anything good come to you if you're putting up a barrier of negativity? How does that work? How does that work? It doesn't. It never has. It never has. This is the part to where if you take one day and you decide, you know what? I'm not going to let anything disrupt me. I'm going to keep my mind focused on what good on the good that the good that I see before my eyes, or or the good that I can help with someone or with something. Every day when we wake up, that is the goodness. When you're able to open your eyes at whatever time it may be, regardless to what it is, if you don't get a good night's sleep or you're restless, your eyes open. That's only because he allowed it. He allowed it. He granted you that. So is it so hard to is it so hard to look at the goodness that he's extended you, whatever that may be? Abundance abundance in your finances, or your, no car trouble, or, your job, you're as healthy as you're going to be. Is that so much to be thankful for? Is it so much to pay that forward? Is that so hard to do? Really, is that really that hard to do? See, I'm blessed in a way because of to do this show, and hopefully those that are listening, that you're taking something away each and every time of what's being said, and you're using it, and you're taking that and you're using it in the practical world. Operative word is practical, meaning the real world. The real, practical. This is going to work. If you're just going to watch the show because you know me, then what's the point? If you're just going to watch the show because I said so, but not take anything away from the show, what's the point? You're wasting your time. You are wasting your time. You're not wasting my time. You're wasting your own time, where you can become that, allow your mind to become the sponge and absorb. Now, the other thing, a lot of us have different, we have different ways of extending kindness to people. A lot of it, or they say, a lot of us have certain gifts, whatever that may be. But if we're spending more time and saying, what can I do to be more to help someone, or to be an asset to something or to someone, these are the things that we need to focus on. I will agree that, or if someone would act, or someone would say to me, they would ask, Alan, what is your take on the world? It is what it is. It always has it, and the world is, and it's always been that way, and it's always gonna be, period, until that great getting up day. So here's the thing. Why am I worried about that? I'm not. I am going to focus on the day at hand and do as much as I can with the sunlight, with the sunlight that is that is given me. I'm going to try and do as much as I can, do as much good as I can for someone, or something, or someone as I can. I don't have time to sit in judgment of other people and say, well, this, that, to say this, that, and the other, and, blah, blah, blah. I may give you suggestions. I may say this, you know what, this may be, you might want to try this a different way. You might want to look at this at a different angle. These are all suggestions to give that individual options. And what I do now calls for that. It calls for looking at things in a different way. I can't afford to speculate. Cannot. Because speculation is like saying 3 plus 4 is 8. When you're just throwing something out there instead of saying, really taking a hard look at it. I don't do that. I try to pass that information along. I pass that information along to my children. I pass that information along to my associates, to my friend. And it's up to them on what they do with it. If we spend every waking day talking about our shortcomings, our ills, our misfortunes, our wrong turns, or we spend all of that time looking in the rearview mirror, how can we enjoy the good? How can we help one another rise to a different occasion? There was a term, and I thought this was even I had to really do some more reading on this, and I had never heard this before. And or let me put it this way, I'd never heard it put in that context. But there are some of us, and this is an absolute shame, there are some of us that possess what they call a poverty mind, meaning that you have accepted your lot in life as being what it is, instead of and then what you do when you do that, you are claiming everything that is going to go wrong. You're claiming it. A poverty mind. Think about, and I want you all to think about that. And when I say poverty mind, that means your mind is so focused on everything bad. Your mind is so focused on everything negative, and not so. And then and just to clarify, when I said poverty mind, that doesn't necessarily mean monetary or monetary, financial, or money. I'm just giving you all three aspects. It doesn't mean that. It means that you are content. You are content at the station of life that you are at, with no aspirations to rise or elevate yourself. And a lot of our Black people do that. I heard a story about a young man out in Compton. Okay. Now, now everybody, if you don't necessarily have to be from LA to know how bad Compton is. You don't have to be from Chicago to know how bad Inglewood is. You don't have to be from New York to know how bad the Bronx is. You don't have to be from Florida to know how bad the area called the Pork and Beans. You don't have to be from any of these areas to know how bad they are. But if you start claiming that mentality, you're going to get everything you ask for. So anyway, the story about this young man from Compton. The mother, the mother was she was raising three other children she was raising her children along with him. So and the father was locked up in prison for whatever, not important. So what happened, this young man, even though he lived in Compton, made a point and prided himself on educating himself. His mother stayed on him. She stayed on all the children, educating themselves. So, during the time, and at the same time, he's filling out applications. She's in Compton, for crying out loud. Who has the money? Who has the money to send their kid or send their child or their children to even a community college at that time? So he started filling out applications, blah, 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 blah. So then, and it just when everything looked bleak, he got a letter. He not only got a letter, but he got a letter of acceptance from Yale University. Not only that, but do you know that he is the first black child? He's the first black to go to have received a letter of acceptance from Compton to Yale. No one from Compton has made it to Yale. This young man did. Not only that, but he went on to Yale, and then he's got his doctorate, and then wind up finishing law school. So help me understand, what's the difference between him and you? What's the difference? He made a point of not allowing his circumstances or things that were going on with him or his life to dictate what he was going to do, how he was going to turn out. We have that opportunity. We have the ability to do that. We just have to stop. We just have to get our head out our asses and focus on the more important things instead of look out your windshield and drive out your windshield. Drive out your using your windshield and not your rear view mirror, because a lot of you spend a lot of time looking in your rear view mirror. And you never see the good, and then you miss all the good things that are coming for you. This is one of the reasons why our communities are the way that they are, because there's too many of us looking out that rear view mirror. Too many. Too many of us are accepting our lots in life. And I'll be the first one. I have a mentality to where certain things I don't accept. For example, someone tells me something can't be done. Bullshit. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna figure out a way how it can be done. Because in actuality, for those who are English, or what's the word I'm looking for? Who are good in English class, you know as well as I do that the word can't is actually not part of vocabulary. It's cannot. And cannot is a negative word. Can't and cannot is negativity. You've made up in your mind that you're not going to do it. Also, I don't believe in a no-win scenario. I don't believe in that. I do not. I never have, and I never will. It's just a matter of sitting down and looking at the situation or the problem and coming up with a solution. 99 out of 100 things that I said that I go to do or to handle or to situate, I wind up succeeding. Because I pride myself on focusing and moving past certain things. Rise above it. And we have to learn to rise. We have to elevate. And I've said this to a couple of people. We have to learn to elevate ourselves. This is one of the reasons why white society and others, and why certain society, I should say, why they continue to have their foot on our neck, because all they need to do is tell us we can't do something and we accept it. All they need to do is tell us it's not for you and we accept it. Once again, that's a poverty mind. Somebody could tell you you'll never be this, that, and the other. But see, if you work on elevating yourself, you could be that first individual of your family to have accomplished something that nobody else has done. I'm the first of my family to be accepted into the Screen Actors Guild. The first in my family, and that's a big deal. The first. But not only that, but see, at the end of the day, I have nobody but God to thank for that, because at the end of the day, he is the one that guides our footsteps. He's the one. There are things that sometimes we kind of stray off, or we kind of get with people that sometimes we get with people that we're not even supposed to be with. It's not, that wasn't part of his plan. Sometimes we get wrapped up into things that we're not supposed to be wrapped up in. But at the end of the day, he straightens it out. But we have to allow the process to take place. Sometimes some of us are so impatient that we're here and now, that we're a here and now generation. That's the problem. We're here and now. We want things right here, right now. Doesn't work that way. Never has. Doesn't. You have to take things, and you have to take them. When you set them down, when you put them in place, let the process take place. It's like a seed. You take that seed and you plant it, you put it in the dirt, you cover it up, you water it, you cultivate it. But here's the thing, the process is going on. You just can't see it, because that seed is opened up. It's doing its thing. It's whatever it's doing. It's doing its little shimmy, its little shake. It's doing this, it's doing that. But you're so busy wondering and waiting and watching till you're completely missing the process. Or as my grandmother would say, a watch pot never boils. And she had some too. It's one, oh gosh, but she had a couple things, and it makes sense. We have to as I said, we have to understand that we have to allow the process to take form, to take place. We have to be diligent. We have to be diligent, but yet patient. We have to elevate ourselves above the station. We have to stop claiming everything that is wrong with us or what has happened to us, because it's going to continue. You are speaking this upon yourself. You're saying, God damn, I can't find a job. Guess what? You ain't gonna find a job. You keep talking like that. And second part, you ain't gonna find a job laying up on your funky ass and not going out there and doing nothing. It's not gonna happen. Oh my goodness, I just can't find the right woman, or I just can't get the right man. No, it's not that. Because you're looking instead of allowing it to come to you. You're looking for something instead of allowing it to come to you. It's the proverbial thing. You ever go in the grocery store and you're looking around for $5. You're looking around the store for money that may have fallen out. You're not going to find it. But if you go into the store and you're not looking, and lo and behold, you say, "Oh my goodness, is that a $10? Is that a 10 spot?" And there's $10 laying on the floor. You wasn't even looking for it. This is one of the things that we have to do. This is what we have to do. We have to work on our mentality part too. We have to allow things to come to us. That's part of the process. Whether it's a job, whether it's a car, whether it's a person, stop looking. Let it come to you. But with that being said, my people, that is, I see the helicopters in the distance and the lights. I see the helicopters landing and the lights flashing in the distance, which means that is all the time we have here on tonight's show, Black Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio on iHeart Intellectual Radio. Like I said, it's a little different. My man over here, he's got a face full of teeth right now. But anyway, yes. So that's what we're having. And once again, like I say, yes, I'm geeked. I'm super excited. Once again, congratulations, sweetie. Congratulations. Dad will talk to you a little bit later on. Congratulations to my daughter, Shelby, Keisha, Crystal, Campbell, Johnston, and my new baby and my new granddaughter, Nova Gianni Johnson. I will see you all soon in closing. Not my monkey. not my circus. See y'all next week, Lord willing.